Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. This is going to be a weird one. This is an actual live recording. Obviously, the YouTubers aren't going to see it until I upload everything and get it all squared away. But yeah, it's been a busy week. Like normal, we'll go ahead and start with the week in Bryan. Um, it's been crazy. I signed a novel gig last week and a short story gig the week at the same time, and because of that, uh, I have been writing like crazy. I'm about ready to upgrade my computer system, so there's some of that going on as well. So I'm kind of cleaning up some of my systems and getting things squared away for when I get everything moved around file wise. And then there's the regular day-to-day activities and work that has to get done for Crafty and Bay Child and everybody else. But the last couple of days have been really kind of all hands on deck on some Shadowrun fiction. Um, and today is an actual deadline day, and because the last couple of days have been just crazy with work and real life and all of that, I didn't really have time to plan out or think of a full uh, topic for today. So I figured what I would do is earlier today I put the invitation of this recording up, and we'll see if anybody hops on and wants to talk and ask questions and just have kind of a general conversation about how things are going with them. This is one of those things where I would normally love to have all sorts of stuff to talk about, and I just didn't really have time to prepare anything, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. So this week, you guys are earlier, if you've been paying attention or if you're a subscriber, you saw that I started the official playlist for the Arcane Promise, which is my Spelljammer 5th Ed play over the Digispace with a bunch of my industry friends. And so I have officially started putting those videos up, which is one of the reasons why I was led to try and upgrade my computer. So I'm going to tell you a funny story since I got you here. So earlier this week, this weekend we recorded the session, and it was roughly 4 hours long. It took me a couple hours to edit it, to go through and trim out the stuff that doesn't need to be there, add in my funny little images here and there and whatnot. And while I was doing that, get all the editing done. It's just part of my day. It's some of the stuff that I have to do before I leave, the studio, and obviously I can't shirk my other responsibilities. So it's not something that I can do if I've got other things that need to be done for my other employers. So end of a long story, it gets all done, and it's all edited and ready to go. And the software that I use, once it gets edited and it's all lined up and it's like, okay, here you go, here's how this is gonna go together. You can basically, you hit a button and it starts to render and starts to completely do all the computer stuff that it's supposed to do to get it to being postable as an MP, like an MP4 into YouTube. That process has always taken a while. Like even for videos like this that are only an hour long, it might take, I don't know, an hour or two it always takes longer than the video to actually render it out because my computer is a little bit of a dinosaur. It's kind of old. and I've never really had to do anything like that kind of stuff before, so it never really dawned on me that that was an issue. But these role-playing session videos, they're much longer, and there's multiple feeds, multiple audio feeds, multiple edit notations. There's all kinds of stuff that goes into it, and because of all that extra stuff that goes into it, I end up the rendering process. It can take, I normally just kind of set it go, and then I leave and go do real life stuff for a while, and then eventually I come back and it's like, oh look, it's done. This particular one, because something else was running in the background on my computer, it really was just the longest time. It ended up being, I want to say, something in the neighborhood of like 22 hours when altogether. So again, a really long time for it to be doing that. And I know a lot of people, if you guys are computer folks, you're immediately going, why would you take that long? What kind of stuff? There's got to be something wrong. Well, there is something wrong, and I'm getting that fixed. But for me to be able to get this stuff out, I got to deal with what I have. And so I let it render and go off and live my life and be my dad and husband and wear all my hats that I need to wear. I worked from my laptop for a little while, and eventually I got tired that day. I was like, you know what? This is going to go late into the night. I'm going to go to bed. And so I did. And the next morning, I got up nice and early, and I was like, all right, what I'll do is I will set myself for I will go ahead and arrange for this to go to load up into YouTube this morning, because obviously it'll be done. And I get down here in the studio, and it is not done rendering yet, but only real close, like just like a sliver left of what needed to be done. And so I was like, all right, well, I can sit here and get a little work done while I'm waiting for that. And so I grabbed the mouse and I activated the window of the rendering program to grab it and slide it over. I have a multi-screen setup for here in the office. And I went to go slide it over. And in that brief time, that just slight moment of while that screen was active, my wonderful, loving, beautiful cat, I call her Larfleeze, jumped up into my lap, which is normal, fine. She jumps on my shoulders all the time, whatever. But in doing so, she just barely clipped the number keypad with her foot. Just enough to click that enter button while I had the screen active, and the only button on the rendering software that is active when you've got that screen on is cancel. Now, sadly, that particular program doesn't have a, are you sure, cancel it, are you sure you want to cancel? There's nothing like that. It's just, it stops the process. So immediately, I drop the cat. I go, oh God, no, please don't say that it ended. Hoping that maybe, just maybe, that I didn't hear the click, that it wasn't really what happened, that it was, maybe at that exact moment the rendering had finished, and that's why it finished. And I waited for the little icon to pop up that said rendering done, and it didn't. And I knew that all of that rendering time, 22 hours plus, just gone. And I got upset, and I said some bad words to the cat. Let her out of the studio. Please be gone with you. Go someplace else. I don't want to look at you right now. And then I set it back up to render again, because I got to get this video out, and I can't close the layout, or the layout. I can't close it, because that particular computer, until it's done rendering, it doesn't remember all of that layout. I have to be able to save it that way first. And so I was hoping that maybe my computer's smart enough to find the giant temp file of that 22 plus hours of rendering just to see maybe it's there, maybe they found it. Nope. Just starts crawling along. So I basically turned off my keyboard, set it aside, worked from the laptop all day into the night. The following day, find out that it's totally done rendering, and I got it posted up and everything. So basically, that first episode in the new playlist effectively took like 2.5 days to completely edit and render because my cat and because my cat and my computer have some kind of weird deal that they have got to be as problematic for me as possible. But tomorrow morning, I'm supposed to be getting a new computer, which is awesome. My stepbrother, or not stepbrother, my brother-in-law, who is amazing. He has worked for the U.S. government for a very long time. And he works in their computers, in their IT and computer department. So he knows his stuff. And so he and I sat on the phone for a while and figured out what we need to do, what I got to get, what I have to do to make everything work the way it's supposed to work. And then hopefully I'll be able to even start doing maybe some more cool software type things, and you'll see some like neat effects or whatever in some of these videos. Whatever the case may be, tomorrow hopefully will be better, and things will things will come together better than that. But yeah, so the week in Bryan, again, aside from the rendering madness, yeah, so I'm really kind of diving in, I don't want to say head first, but at least like cannonball style into this whole digital role-playing thing. You know, we're all sequestered in our various homes and houses and places, and we're not supposed to be, you know, getting out and getting around. And I gotta say, it officially, as of last week, it officially kind of really started to wear on me. You know, I've been saying since the beginning of this whole thing is that I've worked from home for almost 20 years. As a writer, as a designer, as a you know, marketer, depending on who you talk to, you know, whatever the case may be, is I've been in the gaming industry for almost 20 years, and for most of that time, I've worked out of a home office. I've worked out of here. I've never had to work at a physical location, except like the occasional, you know, here's a here's a week or two here, or 3 months. I've got to go on site for this thing or something like that. But for the most part, it's been out of my home offices. And so when it came down to this whole I almost said entrapment. This whole sequestered thing, this social distancing where you're supposed to stay in your house and, you know, let the virus run its course and be done. Initially, those first couple of weeks, it didn't affect me much at all, other than my kids being home. It was just like basically like an early summer, you know, prolonged summer. Yeah, I'm here during the day all the time anyway. And so all I did is kind of extended out my hours a little bit. You know, I worked a little longer, got a little more done. But the big change for me was that I just didn't go home, or I didn't go anywhere after I was done with work. You know, normally I would get done with work, and if I had like a role-playing game planned that night, I'd go to my friend's house for it, or, you know, maybe meet up with the playtesters, or, you know, even if it was just like go out to a movie or something along those lines. You know, that was stuff that I used to do all the time. But for the most part, my day-to-day didn't bother me. Oh, we have somebody waiting. Let's bring Dave in. But yeah, so hello, Dave. Are you muted?
Who?
Oh, no, there you are. But yeah, no, I was just talking about how my day-to-day really hasn't changed much, but it's official. I'm starting to feel it. I'm starting to feel the fact that I can't get out. And last week I was talking to the Warzone guys. My boss is with the Warzone project, and discussing that the next real big step is going to require a lot of playtesting, and there's no way for me to really do that effectively, because no one can really get together to play these games. So I've been playing a lot by myself, and that does not do the same thing because, tactically it doesn't help.
Well, one of the things I would suggest, and it may not be a good idea, I should probably sit a little closer to the mic so you can actually hear me. One of the things I would suggest would be to go the route of like the old school chess tournament stuff where, rook to bishop 7, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Cumbersome, to say the least, but it could be done. The other side of it would be to look at, when you're doing your play testing or whatever, have very specific objectives. Say, all right, I want to pit this unit against this unit, set up the scenario, and then, minimize the distractions of, well, would my guy actually do that? You're not playing the game per se. You're trying to test a particular scenario.
Yeah.
Kind of so not chasing stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
Good luck making that happen.
Well, I was going to say, and right now, I think a lot of it, where we're at right now, and Alex and I, several of our meetings, it's a lot of just theory crafting. It's a lot of where we'll sit down and be like, all right, well, this sounds right. This sounds right. The math is sound, but whether or not it actually survives when it hits the table in, the grand scheme of things, who knows? But so, what have you been up to? What have you been working on in this this fun time?
I made the mistake of complaining to my players that we weren't playing enough. So now we're at 3 Saturdays in a row. I'm like, okay, guys,
Wow.
now I can't keep up.
Now, are you guys playing digitally, or do they live there with you?
No, we're playing digitally. It's awkward, but it works. We end up doing a lot of descriptions. I found that I'm not the world's greatest role player, but I don't mind doing it, and we have fun. When we're found that digitally, it's even more difficult to do the whole playing, the lag between communication, but also you don't have that it's flat screen and you feel like an idiot. But yeah, lots of that, and just trying to not go nuts. I could tell you a horror story about the guys who were cutting a tree out of I had a tree cut down yesterday out of my yard.
Okay.
A whole horror story.
Yeah, go for it. We're at this point, like I said, today is just kind of I kind of want to hear from everybody else and see how things are going.
So the guy I just happened to look out the window, and the guy who's cutting everything down, he's up in the cherry picker, all right, in the bucket truck. He's cutting away, and I see him freaking out. I'm like, what happened? So I book it outside and I look up. I said, what's going on? What'd you hit? I thought maybe he hit a bee's nest.
Okay.
So I look. Blood and guts coming out of the slice in the tree. Did you hit?
Oh no!
I think it was a squirrel.
Oh.
It wasn't a squirrel. It was a raccoon.
Oh God! So like held up inside the branch or something.
Yep. Cut her right in half. It caught her like right under the shoulder and just cut straight through. There was almost completely in half. There was like this much flesh holding her together.
Ugh.
Unfortunately, she had 4 babies and 2 of them got hit, but they took the
Jeez.
other 2 babies to the wildlife rescue to see if they could nurse them to
Do something with
adulthood.
that. Yeah. Oh, that's got to be. I mean, if you're a professional tree trimmer or tree cutter, it's got to be something that's happened to at least a couple of times. Where you've hit something you weren't expecting. But yeah, that was my first thought. Is he's got to have hit like a nest of bees or like fire ants or something. Where you're like, oh, get me out of here, that sort of thing. But oh, that's gnarly.
Apparently, raccoon doesn't taste very good either.
Weird. Okay. Is it? Oh,
Well,
did you mention that he could get to keep
he
it?
got it right in the face.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about it. It's a chainsaw, so it's just gonna go everywhere.
It's a
That's so
chainsaw, man.
gross.
Go on.
That's so gross. Oh man. Uh, but yes, gross. Yeah, no. But the gaming digitally thing. There was an ad, or not an ad. There was an article. It may have been this morning. That it was talking about how D&D is really helping a lot of people. This whole like gaming digitally and getting together in small groups, it's helping a lot of people get by. Not just gamers, like there's just people that are getting together and they're like, what can we play? Just this last weekend, a couple of my buddies did. There's something called it was the tabletop gaming simulator, like TTGS or whatever. It's software. It's like $20. And then if you some of the fancier gaming programs, like if you want to play Twilight Imperium or like Twilight Struggle or something like that, it might cost you $5 for the software to add to it or whatever. But they played 40K, and we so they played on the suite, and then my friend did a screen share through Zoom so we could all be there to kind of like hang out and watch. I was it's clunky. It is you're picking up individual dice with your mouse and you're rolling them, and I mean it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's better than not being able to play at all. And I was suitably impressed with the amount of like visual work that people had put into it. They literally like they had rendered little guys on bases, so it's not just like specks on a map. It's legitimately like I can zoom into the map and look at it and go, oh, those are Tau Fire Warriors. I know that model. Like they had rendered them out and everything. It was really neat. And I know that there's a lot of people that are doing that with several board games and things. I've tried for D&D. I tried using the Roll20 program. I'm going to have to get used to it because I just recently joined an every other week game that is going to use that as a platform. Luckily, I'm only a player in that game, so I don't have a lot of the moving parts are going to be on Peter's end. But I tried to use it. I was going to use it for my Spelljammer game, for the Arcane Promise game. It's got a steep learning curve. I could not figure that out, and I'm not. I know that I'm not 100% computer savvy, but there had to be something that either I was like a tutorial I was missing or something, because it was not coming together the way I thought it was going to.
So on that note, funny you should say that, because last night I sat down with it because we're playing digitally as well. Right now we're using Discord and just talking through it, and the audio from Discord actually is pretty good.
Yeah.
We were using another tool called RP Tool, and it is just a map tool, and it's a little awkward and clunky. And some of the options are, they're kind of buried, so you kind of have to go around to find them, which that's not good UI design, but that's a different topic. So I thought last night, I'm like, let me give the Roll20 a shot.
Yeah.
Let me give Roll20 a shot, see how that goes. And man, like, it's, some ways it's better than the one I was using, but it is definitely not a fluid experience, particularly in my case, because I'm doing homegrown stuff. And trying to put homegrown stuff into that is a lot of work.
So I'm primarily using D&D Beyond to kind of keep track of all my encounters and stuff, because I've over the course of the last couple of years, I've picked up most of the books for D&D Beyond just to help make characters and things, but including a lot of the monsters. So I've been able to build a lot of my encounters that way. But for people who have not seen yet the Arcane Promise, there is some there are some old school Dragonlance monsters that have reared their ugly head, and those are not encoded in there in any way. And I looked through a lot of the homebrews, because there are a bunch of people who have put their versions in there, and I don't know if it's hubris, or I have a hard time looking at someone else's version of a monster and go, nah, I can do better. And so I sat here over the course of like a Sunday afternoon and programmed all of those monsters into D&D Beyond, and somewhere along the lines there was a software screw up, and 3 of them made it in, but then 2 of them are in, but you can't search them. It's like there's some kind of glitch. And so I can still build all my encounters and everything, which is fine. It's one of those things where when we were playing, I went to go do because I don't know, have you ever used D&D Beyond for stuff?
I don't use it actively. I logged in and played around a little bit when they were still doing parts of it. I noodled with it then, but I haven't touched it since.
I think the character builder is second to none. It is easily, even if I'm just going to go in there and make the character once and then save a PDF, and then from there on out do hard paper, for hard copy from there on out, it's fine. But to actually just like keep track of character growth and what levels, and if you're playing an electronic game, if you've got 2 screens, it is a godsend, because you keep your character screen open and basically everything's a toggle. If it's like something you can only do once per long rest, I click it there, and then like when the group says, okay, let's take a long rest, there's a button that says we're taking a long rest, and it resets all that stuff. It's awesome. But the encounter stuff, the building the encounters, it's still in beta right now, so it's got a couple little hang-ups, nothing big that I've noticed. But what I didn't realize is that one of the creatures that I had added to the encounter several times, I didn't actually own the stats for. So because it's still in beta, it lets me add the monster, but it doesn't give me any information on the monster. So I put it in there, and we're in the middle of the fight, and I go to like take the, oh, you hit him, and I go take the damage off, and this big giant thing comes up that's like, you don't own this monster, sorry, and I'm like, that would have been nice to know beforehand. Yeah, exactly. So now suddenly I'm like scribbling off camera, like, okay, got to keep track of how many hit points he has, that sort of thing. But it's a pretty cool, as far as like just in general keeping track of, like, it'll keep track of initiative for you. It'll keep track of turns, which I think is not necessarily something that you need. Most of the time you can keep track of how many turns a game has been, like how long it's been going on. But one of the things that I think, and I sent it to Todd in an email about, because again, it's in a beta, so I'm like, if you run into a problem, let me know. I was like, first thing, don't let people put critters they don't own in encounters, because it will cause problems. And I was like, the second thing is, if a critter is dead, I couldn't find a way to remove him from the encounter. So this dead thing's turn kept coming up. And I was like, wait, no, there's only one of those guys. Why is that a problem? Yeah. So, I mean, again, it's all, at the end of the day, first world problems. I could be doing it all pen and paper in front of me.
Even that's still a first world problem. Honestly.
That's the truth. Ain't that the truth? But yeah, so like I'm excited. In fact, actually tonight after the we do this video, I've got my little like dinner break, and then I'm running a virtual Shadowrun game. Well, my local store, I had promised them that because of my attachment to Shadowrun 6th edition that I would run events in their store. Well, then, the virus happened and the store can't be open, and obviously no one can come down and play. But what I had not realized is that I had scheduled an event far enough out that it popped up on Facebook, and one of the players was like, we're obviously not doing this. But I was like, well, hey, why don't we get together, online and give it a try? And so if it works tonight, because I don't have any digital backing with this whatsoever, it is literally going to be all just, I've got my notebooks. It's like we said. But if it works, it's not quite the same. It's not doing the same that I had hoped it would do for the store, because it's obviously not going to be bringing anyone into the store, but no one can go in the store right now anyway. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I've run a couple of games. I've played a couple of games so far with the whole digital thing, and I like it. It does not compare to being at the table. And I think that's to go back to what we were talking about. That article that says that D&D has changed a lot of people's lives, and that it's helped keep people together in this hard time. And that the kind of online role playing has really done a great job of helping an otherwise kind of antisocial group stay very social during this time. That particular article went on to say, and I don't think D&D will ever be the same again. That this is going to become the new norm, and that it was really sort of implying that because gamers tend to not be terribly outward people, outside of their own niche, that it's going to, now that people have seen the success of Roll20 and they've seen the success of the Zoom games and all that stuff, that they're not going to be out there playing in stores or get together and play at your friend's house, because it's just as easy to sit in front of your computer and do it because we've done it. And I don't think that's the case. I think that you're going to see more digital games long distance, because I know I'm playing with people that I never would get to play with at a table. The only my Spelljammer game, what's up?
I said, this conversation right now. When the hell is the last time you and I actually saw each other face to face?
Origins 2 years ago, or no, Gen Con for like 2 seconds. Yeah, exactly. And honestly, we've always had the Skype. We've always had the Skype. Whoa, I sounded old there for a second. We've always had the Skype. We've always had Skype. We've always had Zoom and Discord, and we've used it for corporate stuff constantly. This whole Zoom rig that I've got. It occurred to me that because I went to go schedule a meeting, and it was like, unless you have a paid account, it can't be more than 3 people. And I was like, well, I've got a paid account. And then I realized, I was like, why do I have a paid account? Because I very rarely talk to more than 3 or 4 people at a time with business stuff ever. But it's just how it came together. And I don't agree with the article that it will be the end of getting people together. It's because half the reason these game groups get together is because this is the, that's your time. Those are your barbecues. We way back when, my ex-wife and I, we would host we would call it, what was the barbecue Barbageddon. It was, we'd put as many game tables, we'd call all of our friends and say, bring your terrain, bring your game tables, and we would slap them all together and try and play the largest game of 40K that we could over the course of a day, while the grills were running 10 feet away, and we would be, eating grilled meat and playing hours upon hours of 40K. And we haven't done that in a long time, not just because of, no longer with that, with my ex-wife or anything like that, but just 40K has changed a great deal. It doesn't have that impact like that anymore. But I was thinking about it. I was like, some of the other games that we play, we could totally do something like that in an instant. Like it might be a little harder. I don't have a garage anymore. This house doesn't have a garage for me to do that in, but someone does. Like it might not be in my house, but it could be at somebody's house. And I think that this whole virusy weirdness, I'm going to fight that article and say that I think that it's going to create better, like you and me right now. It's going to create better connections over long distance, and hopefully people will be better about keeping in touch that way. But I think the local stuff, it's actually going to strengthen it. Because I know right now, I play every Wednesday night. I play on Xbox with a handful of my friends. Like, I think we played Battlefront 2, the Star Wars game, every Wednesday night. And I made a joke last night while we were talking, is that, so who's coming over this weekend for games? And we all went, oh, like there's just that sort of, that sort of collective sigh, not yet. And I think that there's going to be a little bit of nervousness when they eventually release the hounds, so to speak. I think that it'll be, I really do. I am concerned for the convention circuit. Not just financially, because I know there's a lot of shows that are like, we had to cancel this year, just, you had to, there's nothing you can do about it. But the ones that are not canceling, but are postponing, like pushing back and pushing back and pushing back, that I wonder if they're going to get to a point where they just either have to cancel, they've run out of room to push until suddenly now it's a 2021 situation, or they're going to pull the trigger. They're going to go ahead and say, let's do it, let's try, and it's going to be a massive loss, because there's going to be a lot of people that are really not sure about wanting to go out there and do that.
Yeah. The only one that's affecting me right now, that's not true. There's two conventions that are affecting me. One was in Cincinnati. It was a steampunk convention. It would have been the first one ever for me, but I don't remember if they got pushed back or if it got canceled outright. I'd have to look. Okay. But the other one is Origins, right? I'm on the schedule to do a little presentation for their Gen Con Origins University thing. They're still trying to do an online convention in June.
I saw that.
The physical convention,
a digital version.
Yeah. Now, I said, sure, I can do that, because, it's just a lecture. I don't need to be there. So for me, that part won't bother me. But they're also trying to do a physical convention in October, I believe.
I think that was
that's right. I don't know if they're going to make it work. I don't know if it'll work or not. The conventions, it sucks for the conventions, particularly the smaller ones, But the ones I'm really concerned about are actually the brick and mortar stores. You know, I have 2 stores literally a half a mile from me, 3/4 of a mile from me.
Okay.
I don't know that either one will be here.
Now, where are you at? I'm trying to remember.
I'm in Pittsburgh.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, our local store is doing basically like curbside service. Like basically, like they have like one employee that sits there in the store and takes phone payments over the phone, and phone orders. And if someone says, I'll be out in front of your place, they'll come out and like run it out to their car. But like put it in the trunk, like one of those, hey, open your trunk, I'm gonna drop it in. But that's that. As far as I know, that's really it. I know my buddy Jake, his store in Boston, Alpha Omega Hobby, plug, is doing like delivery, like they'll ship anywhere, including like if someone basically says, we're shipping, you're shipping next door because that's where my car is, that sort of thing. But their state is real, but has been real strict as for don't like they're the kind of people that have cops that are telling people, hey, 6 feet apart, like you're standing too close to each other. It's a big deal. This has been kind of weird and eye-opening. I had to get packing tape this morning because I sell stuff on eBay all the time, and and Natalie sells prints through Artemis. I ran out of packing tape, and I was like, I can't order it because it'll take 2 or 3 days, and by then this thing is supposed to have already shipped out. And so I ran to the store to get packing tape this morning, and it was like a zombie apocalypse. There's like everybody's got masks on. My mask is still in the mail. I have not received mine yet, but I bought a special mask, and I'll show you guys when I get it, because it's gonna be fun. I'm sure it'll end up being like the picture of of that thumbnail or whatever. But yeah, like it's everyone, the brother. And then while I was there, I'm trying to do the fastest checkout I can, do the self swipe, don't talk to people. And I get there, and the stupid machine at Admire, their whole thing, all debit cards, period, stopped working. Like I'm listening down the rows about people that are getting seriously upset because they're trying to get in and get out, and it's that whole system crashed. And I looked at the lady and I was like, I don't have cash. I just do. I know it's not a cashless society, but I've got $1 in my pocket. That's all I've got. And they were like, well, there's an ATM down at the end. Luckily, I was one of the first people to go hit that ATM before like it kind of became widespread that the system was down. Because I can't imagine if they have one ATM in an entire grocery store. It's really, that's going to immediately defeat the purpose of this whole thing. It's because there's going to be this giant crowd of people right there, and I'm like, nope, get my $20 and get out of here.
Well, even similar story. When I had those guys cutting a tree down after their raccoon incident, I thought, wow. So I thought, I got to give these guys a tip, right? So I have a small stash that I keep on hand just for, I want to order a pizza, or, I want to run wherever. I always have a little bit of cash on hand. So I grabbed the stash of it, and I'm like, I'm out. I have no cash. Once I give these guys this tip, I'm out. So I had to make a special run to the bank just to get cash.
Mm. Well, and at the beginning of this whole thing, when the various companies started releasing the different information, we have another person coming in.
Uh-oh.
when people started coming in and talking about how hey, we're not gonna kick you out of your house, we're not gonna you still owe your mortgage payment, but we're not gonna evict you, those sorts of things. I went to go call my mortgage company just to find out. I was like, hey, are you holding off on payments, or are you holding, or is this just we're not going to kick you out, but you still owe us this money eventually kind of thing? And the hold time at Chase was over an hour. And I'm just like, I can't sit on my phone for an hour. I got to work. Like, it's not going to happen. Hello, Nicholas.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Yeah, we were just talking about the fact that the virus is weird, and that the world outside is strange and it's dark and full of horrors.
Yeah, it's been not super fun.
So speaking of playtesters, Nick is one of my playtesters, and also I was talking about how last night I made the bad joke on Xbox about who's coming over this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Nick plays Xbox with us on Wednesday nights when he can.
Mostly every week.
Mostly every week. Well, I was talking that initially I was telling Dave here. Oh yeah, Dave, Nick.
Let's go.
I was telling him that initially the whole sequestering thing didn't affect me very much. Like I couldn't leave the house, but I didn't really leave the house that much anyway, aside from like occasionally going to a movie or whatever. But I'm starting to feel it. I was mentioning that I'm starting to get that kind of, man, I want to be someplace else. I want to see other walls.
Yeah, I'm feeling that pain.
The only thing I get anymore, or at least currently, is I do a lot of running, so I at least get to go run around the neighborhood once or twice. So I get that time outside of my house. But and I am normally very much a leave me the hell alone kind of person. Right? I'll go literally weeks without seeing anybody and not notice. But the enforced isolation is just driving me nuts, because like you said, oh, I want to go. Yeah, I do want to go, don't I?
It'd be super nice if I could. Now the big thing for me is, we used to game pretty regularly. Like before, you would look at our calendar, and we would have a hard time scheduling everything, because there's what's going on this weekend. Oh, this game, and it doesn't always involve every person. Like, so sometimes planning is it's a Venn diagram of who's involved and who isn't. But now it's I didn't realize just how open my schedule became until one of I just recently got involved with another play-by-digital game, or play by the Zoomy Zooms. And the person who's running it, they're in Pacific time, and they're like, well, we want to do it during the day because he wants to have time with his wife, and at night. And I was like, all right, that's fine. And we were trying to plan when the sessions were going to be, and I looked up at the calendar, and I was like, pretty much whenever you want. Like, I've got maybe one day that I know I have meetings pretty regularly, and I can't have something happen in the middle of that, and that's about it. It's like everything else is either work related or temporary, and it's nuts. I'm not used to it. I'm not used to the free time, which is awful. I currently have no painting commissions. I'm waiting on. There's a client who is supposed to ship me one, a big one, which will be cool, a really cool model. But it's just I can't even bring myself to sit over there and paint on my own stuff, because I don't have that much of my own stuff left to paint. I painted an entire fleet of orc the Imperialis thing.
Hold on.
I haven't even played.
Let's back up a second. You, a self-professed gamer, miniatures gamer,
No, there's
is almost has nothing to paint.
No, there's stuff here I could be painting. I know there is. I'm like looking over there. It's like there's a whole bunch of like night models yelling at me, like, "What about us?" Okay, yeah. So there is definitely stuff that I could be painting.
Where's the BS marker on this thing?
It's true. Any miniatures gamer, if they say they're completely caught up, they're probably like, you can be like, "What about in your closet? You know, what about those extra guys you've got set on the side that you're like, I'll put them together if I ever need them." They're there, and it's true. You're right. There's stuff, and actually, I just looked up at the shelf, and I ought to take this time to paint. There's earlier this year, I was gifted by a fan, by one of the viewers, the very awesome Forge World Necron thing, and it's like the only thing for my Necrons that I have that isn't painted. But it's huge, and it's actually kind of intimidating because I don't use an airbrush, mostly because I'm terrible with them. But I see it up there, and it's like I could probably get a really solid head start on that beast. So like when the thing lifts, when we can start playing together again, I'll be like, haha, check out this cool new toy.
Yeah, the Serop Tech is big.
It is bigger than I thought it was. When we went that's really the last time that we all got together was that kind of painting day over at Chris's house.
Yeah, and I've been a garbage human being, and I haven't painted on my models that I had there since then.
A garbage human being, you're just not motivated to paint.
I have nothing but time right now. I have zero excuses.
That's funny. But yeah, no, so I didn't know what to expect out of this kind of invite everybody to chit chat. At the beginning, before Dave got on, I was just kind of telling stories about what was going on during the week. But I had mentioned that basically I've just been kind of writing constantly for the short story that's due today, and I didn't have time to really think of a topic. And so this morning I was like, you know what? How about I do a no topic Thursday? Like it's just going to be a live, see what happens, and fly by the seat of our pants and see what's up. I was sort of expecting, because of the time change or the time difference, that we would be bombarded with Spaniards. But I also don't speak Spanish. So I don't know how well that would have gone over, because the Warzone community has been, I would say, rabid in talking to me about the new game. Which a lot of the stuff we don't have answers for, either because the game's not there yet, or is because the company hasn't given me the okay to start spilling my guts about things. So a lot of these questions, I would probably end up being like, well, soon, maybe, I don't know. We'll talk about it in the future. But with the number of like private messages and emails and things like that we got, I was kind of surprised that this didn't spiral into a Warzone Q&Q, because I can't really call it a Q&A because I probably wouldn't have that many.
I mean, I can kick it off if you want to, because I'm interested in seeing how that goes too.
But yeah, no, it's been a weird week, and I was like, I want today to be kind of more about you guys, about the people out there that are also being affected by this, you know, because it's weird. Like I said, I didn't feel it until like really this week, where somebody on some Facebook page or somebody said something about how like their 7-state coalition they're not gonna like let things up until like June 1st, and I looked, or like June 11th or whatever, and I looked at the clock, I looked at the thing, and I was like, it's not even May yet. Like that is a full month and a half away of more of this. And I think you're right, Dave. It's not so hard because, you know, again, yeah, we go out every once in a while or whatever, but like being inside is not a big deal. You know, like kind of a homebody anyway. I live in my studio most of the time, but it's being told that you can't, and knowing that it's not like you're being told, like it's not like seatbelt laws where, you know, you're being told because it's bad for you. You're being told because this is super bad for you and everyone else. And I think that's the hard part. Because there's that little voice in the back of my head that's like, you know, all of my friends are being super good. They're not running around, you know, being idiots. We could probably get together and it would be fine. But then there's that tiny little spark in the back of my head that's like, I don't want to be the cause of any of my friends getting sick.
Well, I think to that, I think what the real fear is the simple fact that you can be a carrier and not necessarily show any symptoms, and you don't know that somebody is infected until it's too late. And
yeah. I was like, I woke up this morning and got to play the is it allergies or is it the 19? You know, I'm sitting in the bathroom coughing up a lung, and you know, of course it passed and I'm fine. But it's just one of those things where it's like you can't help. There's that little voice, because in my house I'm the one that leaves to go get groceries. I'm the one that goes to, you know, I go. I'm the one, like, of anybody in our little circle, I'm the one that puts myself at risk to go do that sort of thing, because I'm the healthiest in my house. You know, I don't have asthma. I don't have an immune deficiency. I only get sick a couple of times a year. You know, like this is my normal. I should be able to handle this better than most. In the rare, and of course I'm not being sloppy about it, because that'd be stupid. I'm not like licking doorknobs or anything.
well,
I mean my own, but I mean other people, yeah. But the thing is that, you know, if I got sick, like if I went out and I got it, it's that whole factor of, like, you know, that this morning I'm sitting in the bathroom and I'm, you know, coughing like a crazy person because I just woke up and my lungs are angry at me because they've been laying flat all night. Fat guy problems. And you know, I'm like, is this gonna pass, or am I gonna have to go deal with, you know, even further sequestering? You know, like one of those. This is now the family has to go live someplace else. You know, like, because, you know, but luckily we do have like a grandmother who lives nearby, and, you know, like, so there would be. But if that was the case, I guarantee that everybody that lived in my household would have it. You know, we're not staying away from each other and be like, no, you could possibly be a carrier. Get out and get it. You know, stay over there in your bubble. You know, it's weird. It's just it's a weird thing, and I'm hoping. You know, I read a lot of stuff from some of my friends on Facebook, and a friend of mine last week put up a very heart-wrenching little video where basically he just wanted to tell everybody that, you know, a friend of his is in a bad way and probably isn't going to make it, and, you know, you might not know this person, but, you know, yeah, he's a religious person, so he was asking for, like, you know, thoughts and prayers and that kind of thing. But it was very much just you don't know who's being affected, so don't try not to be a jerk. Like seeing so many people out there that are being nonchalant, and and this guy's like, one of my best friends is literally probably not going to make it through the night, and I can't fathom that. Like, I've never been in a situation where I've had friends that have been in car accidents, and family members that have gotten sick and either wasted away or died very fast, but nothing like this. Nothing where it was in theory preventable. Like, it's crazy. It's a crazy time. Sorry about that. Totally went on my little talking about Tales from a Professional Nerd is a downer this episode. But yeah, so speaking of which, I actually just saw that it's 5 o'clock, which means I should probably wrap this up. And thank you guys for spending some time chit-chatting and whatnot. I don't know when and if I'll do another one of these sort of, I have no topic, so let's invite everybody out. I just really I've been, it's been super busy this last week, and I kind of just wanted to sort of converse with the neighborhood before we get back, on topic and whatnot. So thank you very much for you guys coming out, Dave, Nicolas.
Thanks for hosting.
It's
fun.
If you guys ever want to chit chat or anything like that off the clock, let me know.
Will do.
And as always, for everybody out there who is watching this, I'm sure it was probably a crazy time filled with silly cats, rendered videos, and dead raccoons. So we'll catch up with you guys next week. There will be some more cool stuff. Next week will be an actual topic. Hopefully I'll have my second webcam up and running. I might do some hobby rig stuff for next week, because those are always fun videos too. So as it is, go out there, try and keep a happy smile face on this area of your person. Enjoy yourselves, have fun, and play some games. We'll see you next week.